The fighting and the peace talks go on in Yugoslavia, and the UN inspects 2 suspected nuclear facilities in Iraq. This is the CBS Evening News. I'm Paula Zahn, sitting in for Connie Chung. Good evening, everybody. It was a bloody Sunday in Yugoslavia. One of the worst ethnic clashes in months occurred in a village in the breakaway Republic of Croatia. Reports say at least 5 people were killed and more than 24 others wounded in a 10-hour gun battle. Meanwhile, negotiators met to try to solve the differences in Croatia and the other breakaway Republic of Slovenia. Martha Teichner reports.
The setting for the European brokered talks was as peaceful as participants hoped Yugoslavia could one day be. On the Adriatic island of Brioni, the delegation of European foreign ministers attempted to negotiate an interim compromise that would keep the lid on violence in Yugoslavia's 2 breakaway republics, buying all sides time to look for a permanent solution. While the politicians talked, the noon deadline for Slovenia to relinquish control of its 27 international border posts came and went unheeded.
We haven't got any orders yet, but we'll see. At the moment, we're ready for everything.
A compromise on the border question has been the biggest obstacle to peace. With their captured tanks and weapons, Slovenian militiamen waited for the Yugoslav army to enforce the deadline. Nothing happened, but the Slovenians don't trust the army, even if firm promises come from Brioni. Today, their defense minister produced documents he claimed were battle plans for a new attack on the breakaway republic.
The first problem is the army, because the peace in Yugoslavia is the end of the army as it is now.
That army has its hands full with escalating ethnic violence in Croatia, the other republic that has declared its independence from Yugoslavia. Today, in the village of Tenja, it was the army that finally put a stop to a 10-hour battle between Croats and Serbs. The army has always been regarded as the tool of Yugoslavia's Serbs, 600,000 of whom live in Croatia. With protecting its own people a prime motive for Yugoslavia's army here, there is less concern over retaking Slovenia. The army may even have written off Slovenia as a lost cause. Martha Teichner, CBS News, Zagreb.
And a few minutes ago, I talked to former Minnesota Governor Rudy Perpic in Zagreb. He is a consultant to the Croatian government. I asked him if he thinks the situation in Yugoslavia can be resolved peacefully.
This still can be resolved in a peaceful manner, but it's getting worse every day.
Do you really
and I was
believe...
at a dinner tonight with the foreign minister and the prime minister of Croatia and members of the European community, deputies from the European community, and they're all saying the same thing. That Secretary Baker gave them a green light for all practical purposes, and that is the Yugoslav army, and that's how they ended up in Slovenia.
But at the same time, we hear the Croatian information minister saying that Slovenia is a Disneyland compared with the conflict that you could see in Croatia. How bad could things get?
Well, it could be a bloodbath, and it's getting worse every day. Today was a bad day. But originally, the central government and the army did not plan to go into Slovenia. And that's how they got there, and that's how the tanks and the troops left the barracks, because of the statements by Secretary of State Baker. And I want to keep emphasizing that it's not the ethnics that are clashing, it's the ideologies that are clashing. And that it's incumbent upon Secretary of State Baker to get these people, the army, back into the barracks, and to get the politicians, the elected leadership, back to the table, and to make it very plain to the central government that there has to be compromise. And they can work together in a confederation, but it can't continue to exist as it is today.
Some members of the Yugoslavian government have almost conceded Slovenia its independence, but it seems that the ethnic rivalries you touched on in Croatia may make independence there seem less likely. You continue to emphasize that. Do you not think that is the case?
Well, everyone that was within and heard what was going on in government here knew that Slovenia was going to go on its own, and the central government was going to allow it to happen. There weren't any minorities up there, and for a number of other reasons. And that it was going to be much more difficult for Croatia, and that's why President Tudjman has been so very careful. But I'm saying again that the Secretary of State Baker can get these people, get the army and the tanks back into the barracks, and that he can get the elected leadership back at the negotiating table. Otherwise, this is going to be a bloodbath.
That was former Minnesota Governor Rudy Perpic speaking from Zagreb, Yugoslavia, earlier today. In Albania, the new non-communist government there says the large Albanian minority in Yugoslavia is threatened with extinction. The Albanian government says armed gangs of Serbs are looking for excuses to commit genocide against the nearly 2 million Albanians who now live in Serbia. Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, a new call for a probe of the Tehran hostages in the 1980 presidential campaign, and trying to make sure the Boy Scouts will be prepared for a changing world.
Honey, we're talking grounds for divorce.
It's so bad you can taste it. The sticky, pasty film inside your mouth.
It's pretty bad. Ugh.
You wake up with every morning of your life. Morning breath.
I'll be right back.
Fight morning breath with Scope. Antiseptic Scope kills on contact 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Come and get it. I'm all yours.
Hook her up, sweetie pie.
Antiseptic Scope. It's the best thing first thing in the morning.
Your kiss is ready.
Red Lobster announces great new trios. Delicious trios you're gonna love, like our Atlantic Trio for just $6.99.
Terrific.
Or large butterfly shrimp, lobster Alfredo, and scallops.
Love it.
Or crab legs, juicy scallops, and shrimp.
Let's go.
Hurry, for a short time our great new trios start as low as $6.99.
$6.99? That's incredible.
Red Lobster for the seafood lover.
Hello? Mom, what a surprise. Well, actually, my cereal's sitting in milk.
It's not always easy getting to the great taste of Kellogg's Crispix when you want to.
Uh-huh. But they wouldn't give your money back?
So it's good to know Kellogg's Crispix stays crisp and delicious in milk.
Helen didn't mean it that way.
Even if you can't get to it right away.
Uh-huh. Still crispy. You're absolutely right, Mom.
Kellogg's Crispix, the taste that waits for you.
UN inspectors took their first step today in checking out Iraq's nuclear materials. They visited 2 nuclear sites that had been examined before. They refused to disclose what, if anything, they discovered. The big test comes tomorrow, as Barry Peterson reports.
The UN inspection team that arrived in Baghdad will put Saddam Hussein's words to the test, that he will open up any suspected nuclear weapons sites to international inspection as promised. UN officials identified 2 sites checked by the team today, one near Baghdad, the other near the Syrian border. This was Saddam Hussein last spring, showing off what he claimed were detonators for nuclear devices. He insists he will be as forthcoming now, will throw open the doors of his nuclear weapons program and allow its destruction. And while the Iraqis have until now balked at revealing their nuclear capability, they are getting high marks this weekend for the ongoing destruction of their missiles and warheads. Some were bulldozed, others blown up. More will be destroyed in the weeks ahead.
Everything took a little longer than we thought it was going to.
Did everything go as planned?
Everything went as planned. We got everything done.
The Soviet-made missiles were the pride of Iraq's military, the big stick threatening Iraq's neighbors. During the Gulf War, the missiles were often more frightening than accurate. But one struck a U.S. military building in Saudi Arabia, tragically proving the missiles were capable of killing. If the missiles and nuclear programs are both eradicated, the threat that brought about the Gulf War may finally be over. Barry Peterson, CBS News, London.
2 Americans who were injured when their car hit a landmine in Kuwait were sent to Saudi Arabia today for treatment. A U.S. spokesman says a soldier suffered serious injuries, while a woman civilian employee was only slightly hurt. U.S. troops who lost their lives during Operation Desert Storm are being remembered with a quilt. A church group in Hawthorne, California worked for 2 months to make the quilt, embroidered with the name of every service member killed during the war. Lawmakers are returning to Capitol Hill from their week-long holiday recess, and a new look at the Iran-Contra arms for hostages deal could be in the works. Randall Pinkston takes a look at what lies ahead.
Congress returns to work this week on a collision course with the Bush administration over a host of issues, including most favored nation trading status for China and gun control. But looming as a potential dogfight are the confirmation hearings for CIA Director-designate Robert Gates, who was deputy director of the agency during the illegal Iran-Contra arms for hostages operation.
Mr. Gates is going to have a number of very tough questions put to him about not only his personal role, but the role of the Central Intelligence Agency during Iran-Contra.
Congress is debating whether to open a new inquiry into charges fueled by former Carter administration official Gary Sick that members of the 1980 Reagan campaign team worked to delay the release of American hostages from Iran in order to help defeat Jimmy Carter.
In effect, we had a secret deal done with the Iranians over the hostages by many of the same people who were involved in the campaign in 1980.
Edwin Meese, a close advisor to Ronald Reagan in the 1980 presidential campaign, today angrily denied the charge.
This story has been kind of like a floating crap game. Accusations are made. They've been made since the middle 1980s. Each one is then disproved.
Let's get a clean, clear investigation of the paper trail and then make a determination whether we need to depose witnesses or not.
Without new evidence, the president views any new Iran hostage probe as tantamount to a witch hunt. The final decision is up to House Speaker Tom Foley, who is said to be leaning towards a low-key inquiry, clearly aware of the political risks of a Democratic-led investigation. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, the White House.
Sources say former CIA officer Alan Fires is negotiating a possible plea bargain with Iran-Contra prosecutors. Fires may plead guilty to a misdemeanor charge in exchange for testimony about the possible involvement of CIA officials in the Iran-Contra scandal. In a report released tonight, the World Bank says the world spends more than $1 trillion a year on military troops and hardware. The report urges governments to take every possible step to reduce that spending.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered the 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes with Just for Men.
Think about your daydreams and what you would do if you won 10 million out of the blue. Imagine the bell rings, the winner is you. Publishers Clearinghouse, the house where dreams come true.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's Kids Day free time at Quality, Comfort, Clarion, and Sleep Hotels.
Huh?
Kids 18 and under stay free at Choice Hotels when you call 1-800-4CHOICE and reserve a room.
I'll get the dressing.
Let's make it fresh. Good seasoned.
Dressing's great.
Good seasons, you make it fresh, you make it best.
Keep watching 60 Minutes this summer. We'll try to make it worth your while with stories you might have missed and stories you've told us you want to see again.
The NAACP says it's taking a close look at the record of Supreme Court nominee Judge Clarence Thomas. Executive Director Benjamin Hook said today that any nominee hoping to earn the group's endorsement should be black and also reflect the philosophy of retiring Justice Thurgood Marshall. Camping, canoeing, and wilderness trips make up the traditional notion of what scouting is all about, but for some kids, scouting is all about adapting and surviving. John Blackstone has their story.
Itsy bitsy teeny weeny little bitty froggy. Itsy bitty teeny weeny little bitty froggy.
Campfire songs may seem out of place in an inner city schoolroom, but for Eagle Scout Bobby Love, they're part of an attempt to keep these kids from ending up where many like them do, on the streets.
A lot of times it takes for them to go away and get away from their actual peers and stop acting tough, for them just to be silly and have fun, sing stupid songs, but they're fun.
There are no wilderness trails in East Oakland. Compass reading practice is in a paved schoolyard.
See how that compass moves? Everybody see that?
The Boy Scout organization, trying to find its way through a changing world, is taking its program to children it's often missed, those in inner cities. In participating schools, one class a week for both boys and girls becomes a Cub Scout meeting.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
In neighborhoods where many of the young end up in trouble, schools hope their students will see a role model when they look at Scout leaders like Bobby Love.
Liberty and justice for all. They look at me and they say, well, he's got a uniform on. No, that's not for me. That's just for sissies. But then they see the type of posture I hold and the type of poise I have, and it makes them look at their options. What do you do if a stranger comes to the door?
These Cub Scouts learn urban skills.
If it's somebody you don't know, don't open the door.
But much of the traditional Scout program makes the transition to inner city unchanged. Every Cub Scout has built a Pinewood Derby car.
You really want to cut this off?
I do.
Okay, let's go.
But I can't.
Oh, you can, you can.
On the Pinewood Derby track, it's race day. Gregory Andrews took first place.
When I first started, I just thought I was going to mess my car up. I think I could do anything now.
Maria Helena Gonzalez won the prize for best paint job.
He showed us that if you want to do something that you have to try.
With inner city scouting, the Boy Scouts are trying to stay relevant at a time when growing up is getting more complicated, but when having fun can be as simple as ever. John Blackstone, CBS News, Oakland.
And in other news tonight, with the new fiscal year now entering its second week, 6 states are still having budget troubles. Connecticut's governor has ordered public employees to report back to work tomorrow, even though the state remains without a spending plan. And in Pennsylvania, budget negotiators there resume their talks today after a holiday break.
We've just found a way to make Nabisco spoon-sized shredded wheat even better. Every shredded wheat biscuit is now toastier and crispier because each is toasted through and through. It's almost like we let each little biscuit have its very own great day in the sun. Wake up to Nabisco shredded wheat. It tastes like it's sun-toasted.
A1, it's how steak is done.
Poison ivy, insect bites, rashes. Too many choices.
You only need one. Cordaid.
Stop the itch and heal the rash with a brand doctors recommend most.
Present Arms.
Cordaid, the only aid you need.
Dean Witter believed one thing that should distinguish his brokers is their ability to listen.
Listen not only to what our clients say, but what they mean.
I have a vision about retirement.
Each client has a level of comfort.
You know me, I'm a planner.
There is no greater dividend a firm can earn than the confidence of its clients.
You've helped me make some good decisions.
There are many ways to measure success.
We measure success one investor at a time.
A senior Soviet official reacted today to President Bush's latest message to Mikhail Gorbachev, priding him on arms talks. The Soviet official called the message useful and positive and denied a suggestion that Mr. Bush blamed the Soviets primarily for any delays. In Durban, South Africa, the Anti-Apartheid African National Congress wound up a landmark convention today with its new president taking a hard line on economic sanctions. Mike Sullivan reports.
A triumphant Nelson Mandela used his new position today as undisputed leader of the African National Congress to urge the international community to maintain sanctions against South Africa. Addressing 40,000 supporters at the end of the conference, Mandela also emphasized the need to push ahead in negotiations with the government to build a new South Africa. But he assured supporters this was not selling out.
Compromise may be unavoidable on some questions, but surrender of our basic right, never.
Earlier, at the Congress, Mandela acknowledged serious problems, such as ongoing township violence and the ANC's failure to attract more widespread support.
There has been no effective communication between the African National Congress and the minority groups in this country.
The conference was the first on South African soil in more than 3 decades And although the new leadership includes many Communist Party members, it is more pragmatic than radical. Despite this, rank-and-file supporters took a hard line in voting to keep the ANC a liberation movement rather than a political party, and to maintain the organization's military wing as a fallback should negotiations fail. Mandela now has the difficult job of keeping the pressure on Pretoria while negotiating to finally rid South Africa of apartheid. Mike Sullivan for CBS News, Johannesburg.
Japan's Prime Minister Kaifu arrives in the United States this week for a meeting with President Bush. The meeting comes at a time when Japan is being pushed from abroad to change its ways about one of its most basic products. Bruce Dunning reports.
Rice is a way of life here, central to religion and tradition. In the heart of Tokyo, urban junior high schoolers are learning about their cultural roots. Only Japanese can produce rice for Japanese, they say. But as the economic summit approaches, Japan is feeling intense international pressure to open its markets to imported rice. For Americans and Europeans, Japan's total ban on foreign rice is central to the issue of fairness in international trade.
It's the single most objectionable measure that Japan employs to protect its economy from foreign competition.
But many Japanese feel it's American retaliation for their own industrial success.
Some time ago, I talked with a very good friend of mine from New York City who said, well, you destroy the good part of American automobile industry. Why can't we destroy your rice industry?
But now some business leaders, even politicians, are saying what used to be unspeakable, that Japan will have to import some foreign rice to prevent retaliation against its own manufactured exports. The farmers are fighting back. Protect our rice, a speaker shouts. Thousands packed Japan's largest stadium, accusing the politicians of breaking promises to protect Japanese rice and warning of revenge at the ballot box. If we give up, we will have nothing, she says. I came here to protect Japanese rice. Prime Minister Kaifu will be feeling heavy pressure from two sides, his constituents and American trade negotiators, when he meets President Bush. If the Japanese give in, as many believe they'll have to, rice farming for most people here may soon be little more than something they briefly studied in school. Bruce Dunning, CBS News, Tokyo.
The famous running of the bulls got underway in Pamplona, Spain today. There were only a few minor injuries in this beginning of the week-long festival made famous by writer Ernest Hemingway. But officials say street disturbances and heavy partying in advance of the festival put more than 100 people in the hospital.
If you're looking to maintain regularity, look here. There's a drug-free way to do it, and Kellogg's All Brand can be an important part. Because a high-fiber diet, including Kellogg's All Brand, can give you the fiber you need to help stay regular, drug-free. And All Brand goes a lot better with berries. A high-fiber diet and Kellogg's All Brand for drug-free regularity.
Now you can ask Angela Lansbury about Bufferin.
Angela, you've said on TV that Bufferin is effective pain relief. Is it really strong aspirin?
I'll say it is. Extra strength Bufferin's the strongest dose of aspirin you can buy. 1,000 milligrams.
Angela, how can Bufferin be so strong if it has buffers?
That's a good question. I've learned the buffers don't weaken it. They just help prevent aspirin's stomach upset. Bufferin's great pain relief.
Shouldn't you discover the strength of Bufferin?
When you've got hemorrhoids, walking is hard. Sitting is worse. Anusol ointment has an anesthetic for the pain and itch. Does your brand? Anusol ointment has an anesthetic to take the hurt out of hemorrhoids.
Hi, what'd you bring back?
Diarrhea.
Of course, you forgot your kaopectate.
Advanced formula kaopectate. Just one dose helps relieve diarrhea fast.
Next time, I won't forget the kaopectate.
Guaranteed to stop diarrhea fast.
In the all-German title match at Wimbledon, Michael Stich won the men's championship for the first time today. He beat Boris Becker in straight sets, 6-4, 7-6, 6-4, and took home more than $380,000 in prize money. Stiek came to Wimbledon a long shot, while Becker was a heavy favorite. Stiek said he just played great tennis and stayed cool. The sunny skies, balmy breezes, and laid-back lifestyle of Key West, Florida draws tourists who often wind up making the island their permanent home. As Doug Tennell reports, it seems people are dying to stay.
Key West is an island so small that visitors are warmly welcomed, but also counted on to leave. The problem is that some linger too long to see one more Key West sunset and end up staying to the bitter end. The result, nearly twice as many people are buried in Key West as live here. If they just died, of course, they just couldn't leave them lying on the ground, obviously, so they'd have to stick them someplace. They'd have to be buried in a condominium. Condominiums, that's what some locals, like historian Susan Olson, call what would be mausoleums anywhere else. The city's answer to overcrowding.
It's rather large. It's not very attractive. But
You're being kind.
yes, they're pretty ugly. But at the same point, they're very practical.
But practicality has never been a byword for life or death in Key West. Just tour the tombs here. In the modern-day high-rises, there are no epitaphs like the one on Mrs. R.B. Roberts' gravestone. I told you I was sick. Well, they accused her of being a hypochondriac. Her sister-in-law told me she used to sit on her couch and she'd say, when I die, I want you to put on my grave, I told you I was sick, and I want you to make my stone out of this coffee table top. And that's exactly what they did. Then there is Edwina Loris, devoted wife, mother, and admirer of Julio Iglesias. Near Edwina is Elfina, the pet deer of the Otto family, who also chose to be buried with their 3 Yorkshire Terriers.
And the one over here, which is my favorite, says, his beautiful little spirit was a challenge to love. So you know it was the rottenest little dog that ever lived.
But no epitaph so clearly mirrors the Key West lifestyle as Joe Abreu's. Not because it enshrines a phrase from former resident Harry S. Truman.
The buck stops here.
But because Joe is still alive to talk about it.
When I kick the bucket, that's where the buck is going to stop anyway. That's where it's going to stop there, is it? The buck stops there? Well, that's where I'll be, so that's it.
So even with the condos, Key West natives like Joe aren't taking any chances. If you want a reserve in a place nearly twice as crowded as Key West itself, the line starts here. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Key West.
And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. Later, join Bill Plant for the CBS Sunday Night News, and I hope to see you again tomorrow on CBS This Morning. I'm Paula Zahn reporting from New York. Have a good night, everybody.
Smith, will Terminator 2 be this summer's hottest sizzler?
Hasta la vista, baby.
Tomorrow, Arnold Schwarzenegger on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.